Happy Monday. This is James Himm Mitchell, your intuitive guidance counselor, here with your week in tarot. And this week's deck is going to be my long-standing good friend, the Robin Wood Tarot. And so, deck on the table, I'm going to take the deck and going to shuffle. And as you know, I pull 3 cards for every reading. So, the first card is going to represent what the overall experience could possibly be for the week. Our second card is going to be what Tarot is asking us to consider in terms of guidance and advice. And if we feel inclined to accept that guidance or advice, this last card is going to be what possible outcome could be achieved by the end of the week. Okay, so having pulled the cards, first card is the Nine of Wands. So this card usually represents a struggle or a conflict of some kind. And what happens is that we experience one challenge after another, after another, after another. And this guy, if you look, he's got a bandage on his head, so he's kind of weary from all the battles. This could be like he's giving a lot of thought or thought energy to it. For me, when I see this card, I always think of like either in the literal sense or the figurative sense, like everything is giving you nothing but a headache. So for me, I'm a headache and migraine experiencer. I used to say suffer, but I have to be mindful of my words. So I experience headaches and migraines. So sometimes for me, this represents a physical headache or migraine. But going with the senses, this is a general reading for all of us. This would be more like looking at like the headaches in your life. It's always too about your position in life. Like sometimes you are just waiting for the other shoe to drop, or that you're standing guard because, you know, if you're in a good space, you think, well, this can't be too good for too long, so I'm just going to be ready for the other shoe to fall, so to speak. You know, the other thing could be in a more positive sense. This card is reminding us that if we look at our lives as a constant struggle or a constant challenge, that we are stronger than we are giving ourselves credit for, because this card carries with it the sense of spiritual strength. So everything that we have gone through and overcome just makes us that much stronger. And so we have to keep that in mind. This card is about perseverance, you know, and just, you know, keep on keeping on. You know, a song that I hear in my head when I see this card is Destiny's Child Survivor, which is why I'm really strong on the whole looking at life and life's experiences as each one that you go through, you survived it. And that whatever the current challenge is, that you'll survive that too. You may not know how in the moment, but if you stop and look at all the other things that you have survived, you'll know that somewhere along the line, you'll have the strength to survive this one too. The other thing about this card is, and this may be more of a challenge, that sometimes this card is about being on the defensive. If you notice that he has 8 swords, or 8 wands rather, behind him, so that represents being on defense, like I'm trying to protect myself. So sometimes this represents our approach to life is that we enter into situations in which we're on the defensive. You know, as a person with a psychology background, this is about operating your defense mechanisms. And so what can happen is that we work on creating walls or building walls up around us where other people can't get into us. And conversely, we can't get out. And we do it in a way that it's designed to protect ourselves. Somewhere along the line, we've been hurt, and we tell ourselves that we don't want to experience that kind of pain again. So we create walls. And so if that is true for you, this card is asking you to, you know, look at the walls that you have created and why you have created them, and ask yourself if you still need to have those walls up, and what can you do to start slowly taking them down, because they were slowly built up. So you can't just, you know, take them all down in one fell swoop. It takes time. Just as much time as it took to build them, it's going to take that much time to deconstruct them. But you also have to know why you did it, and if that pain and hurt, whether it's real or imagined, is still there, then you have to work on that, because that's the walls are really the effect, and the pain or the hurt, whether it's real or imagined, is the cause. And so you have to look at that in order to start dismantling the walls that you have put up. And then sometimes it can come across as like a "don't mess with me" attitude. So if you're projecting that kind of attitude out into your world, ask yourself why, because what happens is that you think you may be doing it in a way that's keeping yourself safe, but nobody gets near you because of the vibe that you're giving off. So that's all the Nine of Wands. Okay, so our middle card is advice or guidance. Yeah, okay. So now this is exactly what I was saying at the last part of this card with the Six of Cups, which is the middle card. The Six of Cups is asking us to go back and revisit the past. This is all about nostalgia, memories, the past, maybe childhood, and going with the idea that in order to look at the cause, it may be something connected to the past and revisiting that. The other thing about the Six of Cups is that this is a card of tribute, honor, and memorial. So if we're going to go revisit the past, you know, it's not just enough to look at the past in terms of what caused what experience. You know, life has its good and its bad. So we're being asked to, if we are going to go back and revisit the past, it's about looking at the past fondly, you know, as well as looking at the challenging times. But, you know, it's about balance. The 6 here is a number of balance. So if you're going to revisit the past, kind of do a balance kind of perspective or take on it, and be willing to look at what was good about the past as opposed to what was just challenging about the past. And the same token is like, you know, don't go to the past and just looking at it with rose-colored glasses and saying everything was wonderful, because there may be some challenges in the past that you need to explore at this time of your life, especially if you're in the Nine of Wands position and, you know, you've got your walls up, you're defensive, you've got a don't mess with me attitude. It may be helpful to you to, you know, not gloss over the past with all the good stuff and kind of say, what was the challenge here? What was the thing that really set this up or put this in motion? And how, you know, because it's going back here and changing that will help change this. The other thing about the Six of Cups is about something that repeats. If you notice the image, there's a young man giving flowers to a young lady, and, you know, it's repetitive. There's all these multiple arrangements around him. And so when I see this card, it makes me think of like, okay, he's back again, like he's giving this to her again. And if you notice, she's holding her hands like she's hesitant about taking it. And so, you know, did she rebuff all the other offers, proposals, gestures that he has come with her? So, and if she has, then what makes him think that she's going to accept it this time? The only thing that could happen is that he considers changing his approach. Each one of these could be like, if it wasn't accepted, what was his approach, and how can he change his approach? How can he make his approach different, better, so that she will be more receptive to what it is that he's offering? So one of the things we could be is like, if we're approaching a similar situation, you know, we're going at it again and again, then the pun with all the flowers is, what different kind of arrangements can you make to achieve the result that you want? Because there's something that is different that needs to happen. And how can you arrange that to take place? So that's the Six of Cups. And our last card is the Sun card. This is a great card to have as the outcome, because the Sun card is the best card in the Tarot deck. So the Sun card is all about achieving clarity. That's what the Sun is. It's about clarity. It's about illumination. It's about enlightenment. Things become clear. It's about, by the time we get to the end of the week, hopefully, that this card is about happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment, you know. And I'm seeing a pattern here, because sometimes with the child on the horse and children on the Six of Cups, it represents a childhood issue or going back to something that was connected to our childhood. Again, that's going back here to the first card, which is asking us to look at what kind of walls have we created, have we built up. Are we running on defense with life or through life in our experiences? Cups represents our relationships. So are we approaching our relationships that same way, feeling like on some level? Now here with the girl with her hands, now she's hesitant. That can be like, I've got my walls up, I'm a little resistant, I'm a little defensive, I don't really know what this other guy's motivation here is, so I'm kind of standoffish. How do we approach life in the same way, which we're standoffish? If he represents life and life wants to give us these wonderful things, which is what the Sun card is is also about. How are we resistant? How are we not receptive to what it is that life wants to give us? And the other thing, I love these cards being on opposite ends of the spectrum, because the walls that we put up can kind of keep us stuck and keep us in place. And then the Sun card is all about personal freedom. But personal freedom only comes when we become conscious. This is another aspect of the card. It's about becoming conscious so we can free ourselves up. So again, summing up, Nine of Wands, looking at how do we look at life as a continual challenge, struggle, fight, something that we have to be on guard for, that we have to have our defenses up. Six of Cups is about revisiting the past to see what was the possible cause that created this effect, because the law of cause and effect go hand in hand here. And what can we do differently? What kind of different choices can we make that would help us approach life in a much better way for us, emotionally speaking, because cups rule the emotions. And then with the Sun card is about achieving a sense of clarity, enlightenment, illumination, becoming more conscious. Again, with the Sun card and the Six of Cups, it may be a childhood issue that we become more aware of, and how we operate from that place, and how we can free ourselves up from that. So this has been your Weekend Tarot. I am James Himm Mitchell, your intuitive guidance counselor, and I look forward to sharing this space here again with you next week. And until then, have a tarot-tastic week, and take care.